For more content like this, log on to gibbopresents.com.
It's Gibbo, and right now I'm once again joined by melodica player, keyboard player, producer and selector Addis Pablo. Addis, how are you?
Yes, sir. Good, good to be here again, Gibbo, Always a nice vibe, reasoning with the morning,
You recently released Majestic Melodies, a mixtape presented by Rockers International and Equinox Music, which is the latest installment in the Large Up Mix series and can be heard now at soundcloud.com/largeup.com. So, to start with, can you tell me, what does the word majestic mean to you, and more specifically, what is a majestic melody?
Well, I mean, majestic, of course, is making reference to a certain way of doing things, a description of it in the sense of how it's presented, whether it be gloriful, so like with a king's, palace and things like these, things that is very, it's bright to the eyes, attractive, very artistic, very well put together, Definitely things from the creator to me, mountains are majestic, all these things, and it's a great monuments and feats are considered by me to be majestic. So as far as melodies, it's just talking about the classic melodies of my dad, the Scatterlights, all these foundation melodies that we've been listening to for 50, 60, 70 years now, 70, 80 years, And it's just eternal melodies, creation songs, as I call them also, songs that just resonate well with people, good for your body, good for your vibe, make you feel nice inside and outside, dancing, all these things. And basically it's just me trying to contribute melodies like that to the music industry, or the being an artist. These are the type of melodies I like to present, majestic ones, So I chose to compile and gather various tracks from hip hop to classic rockers, original works, and for me, all of them are majestic. They have they're different tracks, different vibes, but there's a similarity with them in the melodies and the rhythms and the arrangements and all these things, whether it be in hip hop or classic roots or original work, But the common theme is the melodies, really. And melodica, it's melodies, that's the name. It's about melodies, so it goes hand in hand with what I do, basically.
Although there is a common theme, as you also touched on, there's a pretty wide variety in terms of the music on the mixtape. Did you always want to go down this route, or did you consider making it more specific? For example, just your reworkings of hip-hop tracks, or just your reworkings of classics?
Well, I think this sets the pace for doing some projects like that now, because so we could do Majestic Melodies Part 2 with just hip-hop tracks, or Majestic Melodies Part 3 with just my original tracks, or just with tracks that me and Gavin did together. So this basically is a launching of a platform to present things like this. One series could be just me vibing on classic dub tracks and mixing some classic, roots dubs, or playing some classic melodica on different tracks. So I think to compile it in one really is kind of putting everything, because it's easier than doing 3 different projects, like I said, to present this at immediately, but this might get people interested in hearing more, just like how you have the idea saying, okay, we could do that. So definitely the idea was considered first, but for me, and together a team, me, Kaba and Gavin, it just made sense to kind of bring everything into one. And it's also a theme that, we've done before with the Sons of Dub mixtapes and incorporating other styles. So this one is pretty much a similar vibe, more original stuff possibly, and there's more me, being showcased, but it's kind of a theme that we've used already in different forms, and definitely something that we considered,
To me, the tracks which combine your melodica playing with hip-hop are some of those which stand out the most. Perhaps it's because they combine two things I love, or perhaps it's because it's a concept I would have never thought of, but which sounds great. Now, it's not the first time you've combined melodica and hip-hop, but Can you tell me when you first begun to experiment pairing these two sounds together and why they fit together so well?
Well, I mean, on the first official project that we did, that featured this was the Walsh Fire and Sons of Dove mixtape, which we did some J Dilla beats, you know, and a few other, you know, classic hip hop styles. I would say I've always had the idea from before, of course, in the sense of like my production style was always, I wouldn't say necessarily influenced by hip hop, but I was growing up listening to hip hop, and it's like you would say, like in that era, and I always admired the use of samples and how they would incorporate different grooves and beats to create their, you know, remixes a lot of time of like original classic jazz stuff and things like this. And of course, some melodica having a similar sound or, you know, reference to like a horn or, you know, jazz music or classical music from reggae at least. So to me, it kind of made sense in a way to sample it or at least even play it live on you know, like a hip hop beat, or even incorporating melodica in different tracks. And it's something that we've been experiencing with, in the sense, like for years now, you know, I've grew up or as a younger youth producing more, so like doing a lot of beats and stuff at home, you know, before I was even set on stage per se, or, you know, pursuing the music in that sense. But a lot of experimenting for years, and I think it's just gotten to a level now where all the skills and ideas are like at the right place. So when you bring it together, it just like boom shock. And I mean, for me, the reason why it works is because one, the melodica is an instrument. It's not really limited to anything. It's like, even just like the voice, and a person can sing in a rhythm, you never know, it might sound good. But melodica similarly is an instrument to deal with frequencies, vibrations. So I found the beats that I chose, so like the Dr. Dre, Ring Ding Dong, and Forgot About Dre. They sonically also did Not Surviving the Times instrumental, which Jabami was on, and Get What You Want. That song, the sonics of them and the tones that they use, the producers chose or selected, very much suit the melodica in terms of the tempo, you know, just tonality wise and frequency wise, it meshed. There could be a rhythm where we'd say, all right, you know, it might not mesh as well, but I think with the ones that we chose, they're like the style of rhythms that I would do some melodica on if I was to do like a, you know, full project or a melodica hip hop album, or, you know, wherever the case is. But also the Naya Bingy drums featured on them as well, so that's adding another different element that's not very much seen, you know.
Have you ever reached out to any hip-hop artists or producers, or have ever any reached out to you about doing any production or remix work together?
No, you know, I mean, not as far as I know. I can say that as far as my dad's stuff, a lot of people did sample him. Like there was a time when Busta Rhymes released his Flip Mode Squad album. I don't know if you remember that. It was one of the first Flip Mode Squad albums, and he sampled East River Nile track. And a few other things like that, but for me myself, no one has necessarily reached out yet. But I mean, like I said, that's the whole intent in even doing this mixtape, is to kind of present that idea to people, like, so they can hear it. So even if they didn't think of it, they'd be like, oh, maybe we can do something, you know.
I want to run through a few things here that people need to be aware of. Feel free to add anything or correct me. First off, the video for Universal Dub, the second single on the mixtape, is out right now.
Correct, it's out on YouTube. We premiered it on Reggaeville, and it's on, you know, on a few other channels right now as well.
As are male and female Majestic Melodies t-shirts.
Yes, definitely. Available now through, it's a UK, it's kind of a pledge at the same time. It's a campaign to get some merch up, but yeah, they're available through Press, Everpress.
And there is a vinyl version of the mixtape coming soon?
Definitely, we're working on that right now. We're just working on the mixes to get that. Hopefully by the time if I see you in the UK, I'll have one for you, you know.
Great, and will that be selected tracks, or will it be the mixtape in full?
No, it'll be selected tracks. Just the original tracks that I composed myself, and yeah, basically that, you know, the original. I wouldn't really want to get into the whole situation with other people's works, you know, in that level.
And you've also begun working on a new LP?
Correct. The new LP, Creation Sounds, hopefully will be available by the end of this year. You know, we're just still trying to finalize all the details and yeah, get everything together, but that's coming soon, you know.
You and your sister recently reissued the King Tubby's meets Rockers Uptown album. Can you give people watching this interview some background information on the release and explain its significance and impact?
Yes, well, we just released made it available, the reissue of the King Tubby's Meets Rockers Uptown LP. It's the 40th anniversary of this album being released in, like, say, it's a 1976, 1977. Basically, it's a campaign to, present the album in this form or in this time on vinyl, also on CD. We're going to have limited edition merchandise, things like sheet music written by Ibu Kupa for my dad for a couple of his songs like Cassava Peace, East River Nile. Also a mural painting done by Chuck Six, which was painted in Miami for the Art Basel in Miami. So yeah, a few different items and special limited different things that we've never really been available, from us or even from anyone really. And it's just to commemorate the great or the ongoing significance of this album, which was created, as I said, over 40 years ago, and being one of the most recognized or world-renowned dub albums, mixed by King Tubby's, of course, featuring my dad Augustus Pablo on various tracks, vocal mixes featuring Jacob Miller, Dillinger, and etc. etc. A lot of classic rockers tracks. And this album pretty much just set the way. There were dub albums made before it, but I think the success of it led to a lot more people seeing the importance or the market or the viability of making a dub LP, so it's, yeah.
You've also launched a PledgeMusic campaign. Can you tell people what this is, how it works, what's on offer, and how they can get involved?
Right, well, the PledgeMusic campaign basically works to accompany PledgeMusic, where it's crowdfunding for the purpose of releasing music. It's specific towards either estates or musical artists or people involved in music. So basically, people pre-order items, for example, the vinyl, and whatever other items, like we have T-shirts, posters, and through these pre-orders, we're able to develop the products, whether it be press the vinyl, manufacture the T-shirts, print the posters on paper. So pretty much the cost that people pay, or whatever people pay for the items in the pledge, pretty much covers the cost for it, as well as giving us some money to cover other additional costs that may come from remastering, engineering, the whole process of releasing an album, which can be quite expensive, especially if we're reaching it on vinyl as well as CDs and having it available online. And basically, the pledge is just a way for people to have more direct access to, say, be a part of the project, like you said, because they can also have their name included in the liner notes of the album. So one of the pledges allows them to have your name, say, Gibbo, in the thank you section of the album, So I think things like that have never really been done before, especially with our genre. I know we haven't done before, and there's never been that level of connection where you could have access to things like this. If you did, it would have to be through various procedures, probably owning a label, a lot of other things that have to happen for that to happen. But no, through technology, we're able to give others, as well as ourselves, access directly to the funds and funds directly to us for the meeting of this project, which is the King Tubby's Meets Rockers Uptown, through PledgeMusic. So basically, it's a crowdfunding company which allows us to make pre-orders on the albums and products, and then use that money to provide these products to the customers who purchase.
And you want to give the direct link to the PledgeMusic page for people to go and check out?
Yes, it's pledgemusic.com/projects Augustus Pablo King Tubby's Meets Rockers Uptown. I mean, an easier thing for them to do is, because that's a long title to remember, if you go to pledgemusic.com and just search Augustus Pablo or King Tubby's Meets Rockers Uptown LP, you'll get directly to the site. But it's kind of a long URL, so I don't know if they'll be able to quite remember that. But PledgeMusic, Augustus Pablo. Once you type that in anywhere on the internet, you should see what we're talking about.
I know you've had some issues with people reissuing your father's music without permission. Can you tell fans of his music how they can tell if a release is official and authorized, and if there's anything they can do to help stop the bootlegging?
Well, I mean, I can say off the top of my head right now, The only official people who really have rights to distribute any of my dad's music are like Greensleeves Records through VP. They have a set of albums that we're doing with them. And Only Roots Reggae based out of France. He does a lot of vinyl issues for us. We've been doing some work with him for years. I think people have kind of seen that they've seen a difference in terms of quality and knowing that something more approved by us. He also has it on his, on his record that is official. Most of the people who don't bootleg, there's really no indication of it being official because obviously they wouldn't go that far to say it's an official bootleg, So there's usually no clear indication of it being authorized by, say, our family or even say by my dad from that time. And like I said, the main people who provide anything for us right now are, say, we're doing the PledgeMusic now. VP Records has a few titles they're working with, as well as Only Roots Reggae and Pressure Sounds, based out of the UK, had some few things from back in the day. Shaniki Entertainment in the US. So there's a few labels that have had titles, and there still might be things on those titles, they're not in circulation fully, but this one was pressed back then. But the main person who was providing the bootlegging for this album, King Tubby's, was a label called Clock Tower Records, and they pretty much bootleg a lot of works, and not just my dad's, other classic dub LPs and classic works, and I believe they're based out of Canada. There used to be, it's a deep history with it because it was an actual label and record shop and everything run by Brad Osborne. He was in the Bronx back in the 70s, late 80s. He did a lot of distribution for, people like my dad, Bunny Lee, Tubby's, different people, So he would do a lot of distribution and record sales for these, brethren and thing. And pretty much, long story short, somebody somehow acquired his catalog, and that's how the whole thing got in that person's hands. But there's other people out there as well. But I think that's one of the more obvious ones that it just kind of constant, it always shows up. There was a limited edition, I think Red, Green and Gold reissue of the King Tubby's album some time ago as a box set in vinyl, and that was one of the bootlegs. And the main reason why there's many reasons why I have issues with it, but it's like the quality of it a lot of times isn't the best, and to me that's the most hurtful thing. It's like, at least put out a good quality so it reflects good on the sound and who we are as wanting the music to be presented a certain way. But you can't ask much from a bootlegger, so it's like, or somebody's a pirate. But yeah.
Before we finish, is there anything else you would like to mention that we haven't covered already?
No, I think we definitely covered most of what we would want to cover. Also, look out for more information on the Augustus Pablo tribute in June. We host it every year in Jamaica. It will be connected to the PledgeMusic campaign. There's a way for fans to actually be a part of that festival as well through the campaign. So once they check out that, they'll be able to get some more information on that. And more releases. We're gonna be releasing some more, even original Rockers press, like reissues and stuff throughout the year. Just keeping it pushing forward.
Be sure to go and check out his new mixtape, Majestic Melodies, if you haven't already, and look out for more new projects coming in the near future. Addis, thanks a lot.
Blessed Gibbo every time, respect.
Gibbo presents